You're live with BBC News. Next, security staff on the doors of UK nightclubs, bars and music venues say they're facing increasing levels of abuse. The organisation representing them says people who attack staff should face the same legal penalties as those who target emergency workers. BBC has heard from more than 1,000 staff about abuse, including physical assaults, racial taunts and sexual harassment. Well, let's speak now to Charlie Robinson and Joshua Kershaw, who both work as door supervisors in Manchester. Thanks both for coming on the programme.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
So it sounds pretty grim. Charlie, just if we could start with you, just talk us through what are the kind of experiences that you're talking about here?
So it can range from verbal to physical to sexual harassment. The first time that I was assaulted, I think possibly 3 to 6 months into my job, was due to homophobia. Before she striked me, she called me a homophobic slur. And I think that is possibly one of the biggest issues that I myself face, as well as misogyny and sexual harassment as well.
I mean, that's a pretty grim list, unfortunately. We'll come back, Charlie, to you, to the response and what happens next. But Joshua, I just want to get a sense of the kind of thing that you experienced.
Yeah, for me, it's more sort of violence. Racial abuse is quite a big thing. We have weapons sort of regularly pulled on us, but it's sort of the same generic abuse, I guess, yeah.
And Joshua, what then happens if an incident like that happens? If it happened, you know, in the street to a member of the public walking around, they would report it to the police. You kind of understand what would happen. What usually happens in those kind of situations with you, though?
With us, we obviously report it as well to the police, but I think because of the nature of our job, it's seen as almost as if it's like expected. It's not taken seriously whenever we report anything to the police. I think a lot of the times now, a lot of door staff just don't report it anymore because they know that nothing's going to happen. We simply just get a crime reference number and then we don't hear anything else.
Well, Charlie, on that, what about people who might say, hey, we all know the kind of job it is, you signed up to it, so you've just got to expect it?
I think that that is a big misconception or should be a misconception within the industry. Every industry there is abuse of some sort, but the fact that we just have to accept that we could be injured, that we could, be insulted, abused, is generally very negative, and it makes us almost desensitized to that type of behaviour.
And Joshua, what would you like to see change now? What do you want to happen?
I think severe punishments and we're actually taken seriously. I think if you take our badge away from us, we are just people, and if we was assaulted outside of work, it'd be taken very seriously. So I don't see why it's not the same once we have our badge on.
Charlie, same question to you. What do you think kind of practical differences, practical changes would actually make a difference?
I completely agree with Joshua. I think that harsher punishments should come in, and also that people need to understand that our job to them is not personal if it affects them, that their abuse is personal to us. And this idea that we are just expected to accept it should not control the narrative. And I'd like to see harsher punishments, definitely, for all involved.
OK, we will leave it there for the moment. Charlie Robinson, Joshua Kershaw, thank you both very much for your time and sharing your experiences. Thank you both. Next, there are growing international warnings.